Hey, good morning, everyone. Just give me just a second. I got ahead of myself. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for joining us. Welcome to the 2020 Fall Post-Season Lessons Learned webinar, brought to you by the Fire Environment Continuing Education Subcommittee, formerly known as the Advanced Fire Environment Learning Unit. We have 5 distinguished speakers presenting today, each with their own long history of supporting fire management with their own unique skills. We're glad you're all with us today, and it's a nice distraction from the election footage as well. Our speakers today are Todd Lindley, Science and Operations Officer for the National Weather Service out of Norman, Oklahoma, and former chair of the NWCG Satellite Data Task Team. Robert Zeal, Fire Analyst with the Alaska Fire Science Consortium. Casey Teskey, Fire Management Analyst for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service out of the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho. Matt Jolly, Research Ecologist, U.S. Forest Service, Rocky Mountain Research Station, Missoula Fire Sciences Laboratory, and Shelby Law, Predictive Services Meteorologist for the Great Basin Coordination Center. I'm Diane Rao, Fire Tech Transfer Specialist for the Wildland Fire Management, RDNA, and I'll be moderating the webinar today. Wesley Hall is our host. He will kick off the event and provide webinar support. Tammy Parkinson and Cody Wink will help facilitate the question and answer session at the end. Some basic information before we get started. Speakers need to identify themselves prior to speaking. When speaking, speak directly into the microphone and try not to speak over others. Attendees are muted. If you want to ask a question during the question and answer period at the end of the webinar, raise your hand to be unmuted, or you can post your question in the question chat. To minimize screen delays, close extra browser windows you might have open. Next, I'll provide a brief GoToWebinar tutorial. Click the raise hand icon if you want to ask a question during the question and answer period. You may notice an audio pin. Your audio pin is unique to you, so please enter it so you can connect to the webinar. If you have a question, type it in the question chat box. Although we will not be answering questions until the end of the webinar, post your questions as they come up so you don't inadvertently forget them. If time does not allow us to answer all questions, we'll get back to you via email with an answer. The webinar is scheduled to be 2 hours in length. We will take a 10-minute break following the second set of speakers, Robert Zeal and Casey Teskey. Kicking off today's event is Wesley Hall, Chair of the Fire Environment Continuing Education Subcommittee and currently detailed Fire Application Specialist for the Wildland Fire Management, RDNA. Welcome, Wes, and thanks for hosting this event for us.
Thank you, Diane, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining with us. I would also like to thank our panel of distinguished presenters this morning, without whom the webinar would not be possible. All right, to start us off this morning, I kind of want to get a pulse of a poll of the audience to get a better feel for who we have with us today. So there'll be 2 polls. Let's start off with the first question here. Have you attended a webinar in the past? You can select yes or no for those attendees. Give it a few seconds here and then I'll close it. All right. So it's showing that 71% yes, 29% no. So thank you for all the returnees, and for those that are new to the webinar, welcome. My next poll here, I'd like to get a idea of what category everybody fits in. What's your profession? So if you could fit out or mark what category fits you best. All right, awesome. So it looks like we got a pretty good balance of folks. Most folks are either in the fire analyst world or fire management, and then we got some meteorologists, some researchers, and then some line officers or agency administrators. So welcome, everybody. Appreciate you joining us today again. The FCESC, or Fire Environment Continuing Education Subcommittee, previously known as the Advanced Fire Learning Environment Unit, It's comprised of a small group of individuals who spend a lot of time in the realm of fire behavior or analyzing the fire environment. We typically host 2 webinars each year, one in the spring and one in the fall, that cover various topics associated with the fire environment and aimed in improving continuity and providing lessons learned for all. Our aim is to nurture new knowledge, stimulate innovation, and share new ideas by bringing people together with peers and other professionals and researchers. And now, without further ado, I will pass it back to Diane to introduce our first speaker. Thank you, Diane.